This is not a kid-friendly show.
Hey yo, what's good, my diggity dudes? It is September 19th, 2016, and we got a new RuneScape update for y'all. Let's check it out. Tier 90 dyed equipment is now augmentable with today's update. Like its original counterparts, the dyed equipment must be fully charged before you can augment it. Also, you will now be able to dye gear that you already have augmented, which is nice. The names of these items will remain very long on release. For example, something like Augmented Sirenic Chaps, parentheses Third Age, but they will look into abbreviating them in the future. Just so you know, dyeing in the wilderness will drop the broken undyed version if it is a weapon, or the armor materials to make the armor if it is a piece of armor. In both cases, however, the dye is destroyed, so keep that in mind. Once you've fully used up all the charges on an augmented dyed gear, it will turn into the broken version. You could choose to disassemble it for the components, but that's just downright crazy, honestly. Or you will have to repair it once more to keep using it. It's unclear at the time I'm making this if it uses the universal charge system like most augmentables, or if it uses the system that undyed tier 90 armor uses. If the latter is the case, you might have to add 30 or so divine charges to the gear from the get-go, and again for each subsequent repair to make use of it. Also, with today's update, they graphically updated the Dagannoth Kings. Personally, I think Rex and Supreme are looking great, but I don't know about Prime. It's kinda weird, to be honest. Either way, this is just a graphical update, so nothing will be changed about the boss fight itself. There will be no hard mode fight with this update, and as of the release of this update, the pets will still use the old models. The lair that the kings are in, however, will also be receiving a graphical update to match. Don't worry if any of you out there who like safe spotting Rex, they've added a new safe spot here next to the big rock in the northeast corner of the arena. They've also added a new drop to their table, the Dagannoth King's Tele tab, which is pretty useful. It tells you right next to all of the granite lobsters just before the entrance to the kings. In addition to this, they've been cleaning up some of the junk in the Dagannoth King's drop tables, removing things like oyster pearls and steel arrows and knives, so hopefully you'll be getting more wealthier drops overall. With that, they also graphically updated several dungeons in the wilderness. Expect a new look for the Lava Maze dungeon, the Deep Wilderness dungeon, the Wilderness Agility dungeon, and the Forinthry dungeon, all of which have been modeled to look and feel similar to the Chaos Tunnels, and it's not too shabby, I must say. Next up, there's been some changes to the way that stars and lamps behave with the invention skill. Previously, they felt really underpowered because they did not account for the different XP curve that the invention skill has. Now going forward, they will and should reflect the amount of XP you would get for a curve like invention. So you should expect more XP from your lamps and stars from now on. Next up, as I usually do, let's move on to this week's patch notes. First up, I just want to say that there's not a whole lot going on, but I'll quickly go over what I think is the most noteworthy. First off, I didn't even know this was a thing, but I'm sorry if this affected you, but apparently Lil Tuzzy is now no longer lost when you DC while you have the loot interface open. So I'm sorry for anybody who lost a pet, that must really suck. After some backlash, the jewelry update from last week has been updated slightly more and now have an even different look. Also, Hellware and Twin Furies now pass through targets correctly. I'm not sure what that means. I haven't really seen any issue on that sort, but if you know what that means, then there's a fix for you. There's been a couple fixes to the NXT client, which removed extra large click zones and fixed an animation update that was causing the Telos boss to crash the client. And as for your ninja fixes, there's been a bunch of changes to the divination caches. First up, they will spawn every hour, awarding buffs every 3 hours. Interactions within the D&D have been made less clunky. D&D tokens can now reset it even if you haven't reached your daily limit. And familiars you have summoned before entering the cache will automatically hide themselves, so you can now play it without having to dismiss your familiar. And finally, when you're playing the game, any jars which vanish after you've clicked them will now attempt you to redirect to a different one nearby. Anyways, that's it for this week's update and patch notes. If you want to go check out the rest of them for yourself, then I'll have the links in the description below to both the game update and the patch notes, so you can go check it out for yourself. Either way, thanks for watching, and if you like the video, why not hit a like, and if you like me, why not subscribe, doggy? Anyways, I'll be back with you next week for another game update. Stay tuned. Peace.